So, how you feeling?
Are you okay?
Can't hear you.
Are you okay?
Talk.
I am talking.
I can't hear you now. What the hell? We were just talking. Now it's not working.
Well, I'm not muted.
You mute it. No, I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me?
We had been talking for the last 20 minutes. The show starts, and now I can't hear you. It's the damnedest thing.
Well,
Here, hold on. I'm gonna kick you off and then come back on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. How's everybody doing? Technical difficulties. Can you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
You can't hear
Nothing.
me. It's your head.
I can't hear you.
I know.
Hold on. Wait.
Mom, they can hear me upstairs. It's you. I can't hear you now.
How about now?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Can you hear me?
Freaking amateurs, man. Jeez. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Uh, well, I can hear mom and dad on the TV upstairs, and they could hear me the whole time. It was must
My
have been your headphones.
my Whoopi Goldberg impression unplugged my thing.
Oh, so even the technology doesn't want to hear
Even the
anything.
technology doesn't like Whoopi, man. See
Yeah.
that's the thing. Even the computer knows.
Oh man.
All right. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? This is a amateur show, so good to have you here. As you saw in the poster or on the thumbnail, we're talking about the election. So I'm sure we'll piss some people off with this. So there you go.
Well,
So
remember our tagline?
yeah, so you're offended. It's your fault. Yep.
Best tagline ever
Um,
because it just gives us so many outs. It's like,
right. Which is what we need. Everybody needs an out, right?
well, people forget that if they see or hear something they don't like in life, that the ball is then put in their court where they get to decide how to react to that. They are in complete control of that.
Right. Right.
So,
It's easier to blame somebody else.
yeah, we can't force someone to react poorly or take offense. We can't.
Right.
We don't have
You,
that power.
you know what my headphones are right now? They're Nazis.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say anything. The red and obviously, and here's the thing: you're breathing air just like Hitler did. You have a face like Hitler. He had two eyes. So do you. I
uh,
mean, there's a lot of
yeah.
evidence that you clearly
Uh,
are a Nazi. So, as you know,
oh, good stuff. All right. So we're going to talk about what happened. We're going to talk about it, pretty in depth. I've got some videos, some clips of some, yes, they're conservative YouTubers, but that's we want the truth, not lies. So we're going to show a couple of clips here too on how bad everyone's losing their mind. Dan, my first question to you is, and we'll talk about this: were you surprised that Trump won so decisively?
no, no, I really wasn't. Of course, you're a little nervous,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry, but when you're trying to assassinate somebody and you're trying to sue somebody, you're trying to jail him, you're trying to ruin his family, you're doing an FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago. You're doing everything humanly possible to take someone down, and none of it works. It's a pretty big sign that God is using somebody, and
Yeah.
no matter what us humans try to do, it ain't gonna work. So
Yeah. And they hate it when people say that. Which is the woke far left
well, they
phrase.
hate that because they're believing stuff that's not true, such as, oh,
Right.
he's a rapist, or oh, he's Hitler, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist.
Right. Right.
What people don't understand is like, okay, fascist, for example. There's people out there saying that, oh, I'm not going to talk to any of my family now because they didn't vote how I did. That is being a
That's
fascist.
being a fascist.
That's a tyrant. You're demanding
Right.
that people go with you and agree with you no matter what, or else.
Right.
That's tyrannical.
Right.
People just use buzzwords that they hear on whatever ridiculous mainstream media show they're watching, and they don't know what it means.
Right. Right.
That's not meant to be mean. It's just true. They just repeat the same sound bites. Oh, he's racist. How? Oh, he's sexist. How?
How?
Do you have examples? Shut up. That's what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well, and
just
that's why we've refused to debate people that are that way, because really it's completely pointless to do that, because that's the kind of response you're going to get. You're going to get that. Now I'm a racist, or then I'm this, or I'm that. It reminds me of Austin Powers and Doctor Evil had come back for a while, right? And he says, "Don't talk to the camera, girlfriend." And he's like, "No." Oh, I heard that somewhere. It's not. It's you don't understand that I heard somewhere. That's exactly what happens.
so he's just repeating a line he
He's just
heard. Yeah,
repeating what he
doesn't know what it
heard, right?
means.
Yeah, exactly. He has no idea what it means. He's just
Well,
repeating it
it's
because it sounded good to him.
right, exactly, and it's easy too. You just have a list of bullet points and you say those, and if those don't work, then you just get mad or say "f you" or whatever may
Right.
be
Right.
said. There's just no rationale behind any of it. Facts don't matter. It's like when they kind of say, well, Trump he said, oh, there's good people on both sides with in Virginia years back. It's like that has been debunked 20 times over, even by, I think was it Snopes or whoever who's left leaning debunked it. I mean, there's been so many places that have debunked that one thing. It's like what they tried to say what he said about Liz Cheney not too long ago, that he wanted her to get shot in the face, when he wasn't saying anything remotely close. He was saying, well, she can send all these young people into a war. How would she like it if she had all these guns pointed in her face? Meaning if she
Right.
was at war. See, they intentionally do, ironically enough, what Satan does, and they twist words on purpose to
Mm-hmm.
create a narrative. And the problem is, if people don't know how the devil works through people, just like God works through people, they can take the bait so easily. It can happen to any of us if we don't have that awareness.
Right.
And people, oh, I heard this secondhand, and they just believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that on the right either. You have to, like Pastor Mark used to say, don't take my word for what the Bible says. Read it yourselves. It's like,
That's right. That's right.
yes,
And going back to what you said about him basically having a shield, God putting a shield over him. I mean, if you can't see that, you just don't want to see it, because who could go through all the stuff that he's gone through in the last 8 years, especially the last 4 years, and still come out on top like that?
nobody,
There's no
nobody.
rhyme or reason for it. The only thing that would explain it was that God uses people in this world. And then the thing that gets me the most about that is when people say, well, you put him up there with, he's your God, or people are worshiping him. No,
No,
that's not it. God has used how many, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. God has used how many people, if you read the Bible, if you actually read the Bible, how many people in this same kind of capacity? Used David. Was David perfect?
well, no, they're all terribly
This is
flawed
not the
people,
first time this has happened. This is not the first
right?
time that this has been done. Yeah, it might be the first time in our lifetime, but if you go back, this is a thing that God does.
Well,
He
it's something that he's always done. He uses the
right,
least likely people, because what people want to do is they think, well, God has to use someone that that the person deems as qualified. Well, none of us are qualified because we've
right,
all sinned.
right.
Uh, God doesn't. He's the one that's going to qualify you by the sense of, are you going to be obedient? That's the
Mhm,
qualification. Like,
mhm.
it's not. People want to think like, well, I'm better than Trump. I haven't done this or done that he's done, but that's not the point. That's besides the point. A sin is a sin. A sinner is a sinner. And if you look at someone like you said, David, okay, God used David in a tremendous way, but what did David do? He was an adulterer,
He
a
had his
murderer, had the guy killed.
he had
Um,
the woman he likes husband killed. He sent him to
right,
every battle out there, and
right.
that's
And
pretty
then
rotten.
Apostle Paul, oh my gosh, he said of the sinners, he's the worst of all. He
Right.
literally used to kill and have Christians killed,
Stoned
murdered.
to death. Yep.
And God used him to write most of the New Testament. So
Right.
when people say, well, Trump, I don't like how he talks and his personality and all this, okay, fine. I mean, again, I've said this like a broken record. If you can't be around or talk to people that you disagree with on something, you will be alone,
Mhm. Mhm.
because no two people are the same. No two people get along and with everything or agree with everything. It's
Right.
just irrational. There's a lot of self righteousness who's like that Trump's so terrible. It's like, but like Bill Maher said to his credit, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to look in the mirror. They just want to think that Trump is the reason for all their problems in their life. However, we know people that even when Obama was in office, that these are far left people that love Obama. They were still just as miserable when
Right.
Obama was in
Right.
office as they are now, because the president isn't their problem. Their heart issue is the problem.
Mhm.
Their distance from God is a problem. Trying to find uh, purpose and meaning and validation in their life without God is their problem.
Right.
The
They were
world is
just as
empty and it's
miserable
nasty.
when Biden was in. They were the ones complaining that they couldn't afford gas and they couldn't afford food and rent. All of a
Right.
sudden, that's out the window, and now I can't. I'm losing my rights. Can you explain now? I'm going to ask you because you stay up on this stuff because I can't figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what rights people have lost.
So, from what I gather, the people that are claiming that they're going to lose their rights, from what I've seen, are mostly far left feminist women,
Mm.
and then that'll be chopped up me saying that I hate women now, which obviously is not the case.
Right.
Um, Calling it out before it happens,
Right.
uh, and they are a lot of people that are within the LGBT community. Not all. Let's be clear. There are plenty of people that identify as gay or lesbian that just want to be left the hell alone. And in fact, I think that's a good chunk of them who did
Mhm.
vote for Trump,
Right.
who
Right.
do respect Christianity, who are very nice people, who
Well,
are kind, or are lovely
and
people. I know
and
people
want
like that.
not they want none of the wokeness with the
No,
with the trans stuff with the library readings with the drag queens. They don't want none of that. Like you
no,
said,
they
most of
want to
them
be
want to
left
be left alone.
alone. They
Right.
want cheap
Right.
taxes. They want a job. They want to be able to buy a house. They want to have a dog. They want to have friends. They want to go to dinner. They want to just live their lives. And I get that. And that's all Americans, and this is why, and I'll answer your question in a minute, but this is why Trump got the Christian vote, the Jewish vote, the gay straight vote, the female vote, the young vote, the elderly vote, the Muslim vote, you name it, because people want to be able to afford groceries and be left the hell
Right.
alone.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I with those groups that I mentioned, the a lot of the women that may claim feminism and some that may be LGBT, I think they're afraid of losing. I don't know what. I'm trying to.
Well.
I tried to. I've been trying to figure that out. I think a lot of the feminist women think that they can no longer have abortions,
Mhm.
which is not true, because it's no longer a federal issue. It's being handed down to the
State
state.
issue.
It's a state issue. Um, and they think apparently that they can no longer be maybe gay or trans or something as adults. That's not true. Now, there is a right that's going to be lost, a right, I should say, that you cannot, because little Timmy, your child or your nephew or whoever is 5 years old, says he feels like a girl, you're going
Mhm.
to lose the right, use the term loosely, to have him castrated
Mhm.
because he thinks he's a girl. And just a little stat for you on that: since in the last 5 years in America alone, 14,000 children have had their privates removed by surgery or chemical castration. That's children. 14,000 in the last 5 years. That is wicked and pure evil.
Yep.
That is
That's insane.
disgusting.
That's
That
insane.
is demonic. That is satanic. And that is inexcusable.
Yep. Yep. So
So,
that you're losing that. Oh darn. Gee, that's too
yeah,
bad. But
well,
we'll
exactly.
go
And
back
so,
to the let's go back to the abortion thing. That seems to be the number one thing. Now Kamala ran her entire freaking I guess it's a campaign. We'll call it that just because that word sounds good. I guess that's what it is. Some people on MSNBC said it was flawless. was flawless.
Well, of
How'd you lose?
course. Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
Echo chambers are fun.
I'll try to curb my attitude here. Anyway, that was the number one thing she used. Number one thing she ran on was abortion.
Mhm.
Let's get one thing straight. She in no way had any power to overturn that whatsoever. None.
Right. Correct.
Trump couldn't overturn it if he wanted either.
No,
Can't
because it's
happen.
no longer a federal issue.
It's a state issue.
Hmm.
Here's the deal. I'm not her biggest fan, but I'll quote Megan Kelly when she said, if you got a problem with it, and that's something that you're going to do, you go to the next state where
Right.
it's there because they're the ones that dictate it now. Oklahoma, banned. Can't do it. Colorado, different story.
Right.
So that's the way it works. So if you're going to get on TikTok, act like an idiot and cry that you're losing all this and tell there's some clips that I've watched today too where this woman's giving her 17-year-old daughter an IUD or a UID or whatever the hell it's called, that's insane. And what it does, and it's the same old typical woke response. It takes all what you said earlier, takes all the responsibility off me.
Hmm.
Maybe this goes
Right.
for men and women. Maybe you had to stop doing that, and then there's no problem. If you stop doing what gets you to that point, there's no problem, right?
Well, no, I agree. And what they've done again is that it's a twist on words. Is that the phrase reproductive rights is now a big thing, and I think Harris is one of the main people that's really coined that phrase, if you will. So what they're disguising that as so reproductive rights is translation for being able to have an abortion. So here's the
Mm,
problem with that, though. You've already reproduced if you're pregnant. The
right.
reproduction has happened because whether people want to believe it or not, well, is it a baby? Is it not a baby? When's it become a baby? If you do nothing at all, it's going to be a baby, whether it is at the moment of conception or at 8 months. If you leave that pregnancy alone, it's going to be a baby, right?
Right. Right.
Whether it is or not to begin with or not. It's going to be, and you're going to give birth to a child, a human being. Um, and so reproductive rights, that's such a misleading term. And they did this on purpose. That's saying right to an abortion. Your reproductive rights means you can take the proper personal responsibility or precautions to not get pregnant, meaning ideally not doing it, waiting till you're married,
Right.
being celibate. Um, you know, that's the reproductive right, the true one. It's such a misleading thing.
Oh yeah.
They twist the words on purpose,
It's on
and
purpose.
people. I've seen that phrase so much now, and people just buy into it, like, "Oh, that's me, right? My reproductive right." No, you are pregnant now because of an action you took,
Right.
right? It's like if I went up to a guy and punched him in the face, and then he punched me back, and I got a black eye. If I went around crying to everyone, "Why I have a black eye? Poor me."
Yeah.
Well, you didn't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have punched that guy in the face. I shouldn't have started crap. Just like if you're pregnant, well, you don't get pregnant from a toilet seat last time I checked, right? You don't just get pregnant. What are you doing? See, that's okay though. It's the old phrase, you want your cake and eat it too. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to do whatever they want to do
Mm-hmm.
and then have no responsibility or repercussions. Well, that's just not how life works. We've all been there in some, way or another, but that's just not how it works.
No.
If
No.
you're not doing certain things, you will not get pregnant.
Well, hell, they're all shaving their
You
heads and
know,
saying that the border's closed, if you know what I mean. So
I mean,
it
it's
worked. It
it's
worked.
just so it's just amazing how that's not even mentioned.
Of course not.
Um,
Because the responsibility needs to go someplace else other than you. It needs
well,
to be
right.
taken off of you. It's much easier to blame somebody else or say this or say that. And JP Sears, I watch JP Sears a lot. I don't know if you guys know who he
Oh,
is, but
I love
JP
JP.
Sears is fantastic. And he had a really good thing today because he did something about that. And he said, we've been listening to this whole is it a baby, is it not? JP Sears had a really good explanation. When a child is conceived, it's a human. It's just a different name. When it's a fetus, it's a human. Fetus is term for a fetal baby.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
uh,
it's just adding different words to try to
Right.
mislead people.
You
Oh,
know,
it's an embryo or
toddler's a different time.
clump of cells.
It's just different names of human beings, you know,
Right.
and they're not really even trying to call it the, you know, they're pretty much out there with it now. So,
Yeah.
and you know that that's a big issue for them when they have a mobile abortion clinic outside the DNC. You know,
Well, it didn't work though. That's the beauty of it because yeah, she campaigned on that huge. But I think if I remember right, on a lot of the exit polling, I think it was only like 11% said that abortion. I mean, that's pretty high still, but it
right,
was something like
right,
11% said that was their main issue. So it's like, yeah, you did get to your niche audience there, but you didn't get through to the mainstream.
right.
When
That was
like
not.
when people can't eat and afford groceries or
Mm,
buy a house or afford car insurance or find a job, they're not focused on that. That's the thing that brings us all these different groups of people, like I said earlier, together universally. They can't afford to freaking buy
yeah.
food.
Well, and that
You
what it
know?
did is it showed that lie. It showed that lie
Yeah,
that that was not by far the most important because most people, unlike some of these politicians and some people that have talk shows, understand that it's not an issue that she can control. She has
no.
no would have, and Trump doesn't either, like I said before. So
Well, they
again,
had so Roe v. Wade was overturned in Trump's first term. So then Biden wins. Yeah, I'm one of those people. He won, and then they had control for what 2 years up until the
mhm,
2022 election
yep,
when the Republicans got the House back. Why didn't they do like Trump has asked? Why didn't they do a national federal abortion thing when they had the power? They had the House, the Senate, and the White House, but they didn't do anything. They didn't make abortion the law of the land again. Now, why is that? So it's just like if people could stop and think of that, like it's just these empty promises that people like, and it's trying to roll a certain class of
yep,
people by fear as well. So they're going to take this, they're going to take that. Well,
right, right,
it's not like when the Republicans try to they do fear monger a little, say, hey, these guys are going to take your guns. Well, there's a lot of truth to that.
right,
There's been gun buyback programs. There's all these gun laws. Colorado's terrible with gun laws anymore. City of Chicago actually has the strictest gun laws in the country, but they have the most gun violence. I hate that term as well,
yep,
because people still get guns illegally. Shocker. But so there's fear mongering that's legit to get people going. It's kind of like when your parents say, "Hey, look both ways before you cross the street. You don't want to get hit by a car."
mm,
That's instilling fear, but it's also true and it's
right,
useful. But then there's
yeah,
fear mongering that's just pure propaganda, which is what
right.
we saw with the
Well,
abortions.
and it's not really even fear mongering when you've seen it actually happen. You know, when Trump says they're gonna keep letting people in illegally,
Right.
that's happened. How many
Right.
freaking people have come in illegally? You know, and that takes us to our first clip since we're gonna talk about the illegal immigration. So we're gonna go ahead. Let me share the screen here.
Well, this is another thing where they use the word migrants or
Right.
immigrants. It's like, no, no,
You're
no.
illegal
They're
aliens, which
illegal. They're breaking the law. If they're seeking asylum and they don't go through the port of entry, they're breaking the law.
right, right.
So
So we're gonna talk to we're gonna let the conservative twins react to the View, which is just the amount of stupidity and blatant lack of thinking on the View is at an all-time high. But they're talking about immigration, so I want to show you guys these guys' reaction to some of the crap the View spewing. So let's take a look.
Why is white women, white liberal women, and liberal women, period, want people to live in our country illegally? It hurts Americans.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just keep this going. Jeez.
At Holman's background, he was a contributor to Project 2025. He was a police
which
officer,
Trump
which I
never
find
endorsed.
really rich because
Nope.
he was appointed by a convicted felon. He also was a United States Border Patrol agent, a special agent with the former Immigration and Naturalization Service. So this is his thing. This is his background. But what I would like to point out is that there is no correlation between undocumented people and a rise in crime. That's statistically accurate. Immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are less likely to commit crimes in the United States.
If you're in this country illegally, that makes you a criminal. You broke our law as soon as you got here.
Right.
Yeah. If you come in the country illegal, you're a criminal. If you drive without a driver's license, you're a criminal. If you work in the United States, you're a criminal.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me you get. Oh, so there's no correlation between crime and illegal immigrants. You know why there's no correlation? Because they redefine what crime is, and you know why? I don't think they track it. Right? Who's tracking it?
They redefine all this
our government's not going to track that. Our government.
This is what we said earlier. They redefine all this terminology on purpose. It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate manipulation. Undocumented immigrant, illegal, or whatever. Like Hodgson just said, they're just manipulating and twisting all these words, like we said earlier, and people buy in then. As say, oh, reproductive rights. It's like, no, you're just You're just using these new words, these terms, and no one actually knows what they mean because they're made up terms.
Right.
There's no such thing as an illegal undocumented citizen. Like what does that mean?
That's
you can't
not
be a
even a
citizen
thing
without the documents.
No.
We're all legal. We have social security numbers, social security cards, and there's so many people that want to come to America legally. It's usually I think 10 years, or it can take up to 10 years or whatever to get here legally. Then there's people on visas, people doing it the right way.
Right.
You can't just cut in line.
Well, and it's not even people coming in, it's people being brought in. There's a big difference between people coming in and people being brought in. People are brought in. There was a map. I don't have it with me, but there was a map. It was the Electoral College map of the United States, and it showed where it was required to have an ID to vote and where it wasn't. Take a wild guess which states it wasn't required to have an ID. Guess who won, Dan?
All blue. I've seen it.
All blue, man. All blue.
I've seen
all
it.
Blue. Because that's, that is a lot of it. And then it's also a lot of it where these big corporations don't want to pay people, so they want them brought in because they're cheap labor. And they'll say,
which is also illegal.
Which is also illegal. Exactly. You're taking work away from the American people. So that's really the two biggest reasons, is to rig elections and to, get the cheap labor, because, they'll take whatever. I mean, when they're coming across, everything's better here. So they're going to take it. They're not going to sit there and turn down whatever these giant corporations are going to offer them, so. But I just thought that was funny how she says that no crime's being committed, yet coming into this country illegally is the crime.
Right. Well, and she's over, and not only that, because they're all committing a crime, but there's some committing even more crimes. How do they think that the drug mules get in? How do they think that the sex and child trafficking happen?
Right.
Fentanyl. There's been 180 some thousand drug and fentanyl. I think was it deaths? I want to say within the United States in recent history here. And so it's like people aren't thinking about that, because again, what the left does is they'll mask the migrants, translation illegal immigration, as compassion. Well, what about the compassion for all your citizens? Or I think the number was 325,000 just missing children that came over across the border illegal, whether it was through sex trafficking or just with their families. They're just missing. No one knows. They're either just missing or they're dead. That's just since the Obama administration took over 300,000. So it's like when Obama was locking, they blamed Trump for having kids in cages at the border. Well, that was actually Obama, but the left tries to paint it like they're compassionate to children, especially. So never mind abortion, never mind the 14,000 child castrations, never mind the 325,000 children that are now missing because of the Biden administration, and all the kids that have been sex trafficked, the human trafficking, all the kids that now don't have parents because of a fentanyl overdose, or that was killed by an illegal immigrant. There's a ton of stories of that, where these people, their child was raped and or murdered by an illegal immigrant that came over. There's dozens of those. Trump has had them on stage. So it's just spare us the compassion card, because
there's no
it's
compassion.
Fake. It's fake compassion. No. There's no compassion for the citizens of the United States that are losing their jobs, that are not getting free room and board or the food
Right.
coupons like they were in New York City, or the free transportation that the illegal migrants are getting. I know a guy that is currently in college, and he is mad because now that he's in college on the campus, he is seeing that there are illegal immigrants getting free college while he is having to work and pay these obscene amounts of money to get an education while they're getting it for free. So spare us, people on the
Well,
left.
it's like
Spare us.
we saw that clip earlier where they were talking about the new border security czar, and the typical media. Well, this will cost $80 million or 80 billion or whatever the hell it was for a year. Do you understand how much money we're giving to the illegals? It's way
We're
more than
spending way
that.
more than that. To
Way
bust
more
them
than
in, to
that.
fly them in, to feed them,
Right.
give them room
Yeah.
and board, putting them in schools, sending the kids home. I think this is in New York City, while these illegal migrants are there, and then they're feeding them, they're putting them up in hotels.
Hmm. I
Meanwhile,
think they're
there's
fancy hotels,
homeless.
like really fancy ones.
Right. Yeah. And meanwhile, there are how many tent cities in all these, especially sanctuary cities across our country, of homeless people, homeless veterans, sick
Yep.
veterans. And oh, mind you, this during COVID, with all our grandparents, all the elderly people, we couldn't even go visit them, and they were locking them down, and we had no rights to do anything. People lost their jobs because they wouldn't get the stupid vaccination.
Yeah.
But man, spare us. I'm
It's
sorry,
funny
but
how
spare us.
people are worried about losing their rights, yet when Biden was in, he would get on there every week and say, our patience is wearing thin. You can't go back to work if you don't have the stupid jab.
Right.
You can't do this. They fire people, laid
Threatening
how many
people.
people off. That's losing your rights. You see the backward talk. See, this is why we talk about this, me and Dan, so much. We talk about it
Well,
off this show. We talk about this show. The double talk is through the roof when it
well,
comes to this stuff.
it's the epitome of gaslighting, meaning
Yes.
we're going to accuse you of something that we're
That
doing.
we're doing. How
Everything
many
they
people
accuse
lost
Trump
their
of
doing
doing
is what they're doing.
Right. Well, exactly. To your point, how many people lost their jobs because they didn't get the vaccination, or they were threatened to lose their jobs?
Right.
I know several people personally. How many times did they tell us with the COVID stuff, 6 feet apart, or get the vax? Biden himself said, if you get the vax, you will not get COVID. He said that. That was crap.
Yeah. Do you remember the creepy governor with the burger? He's like, it tastes good, this burger. And in this deal, you get French fries. Yeah. I mean, he was creepy as hell, trying to get people to take the vaccine to get a burger and fries. That's the psycho mentality that was used to manipulate people. And the thing is, we don't learn. We're not, well, no, I'll take that back. We did learn. We learned last Tuesday, because it's like enough people have had enough of this shit to where they've come back full circle and they're seeing it, and it's like, oh, well, we are being lied to. Oh, well, we need to do something about it, because that's exactly what you can't accuse someone of being a Nazi when they have an Indian, a black, a Jew, all speaking on the same convention floor.
Well, that's the thing, man. Okay, we'll go with the Madison Square Garden thing. Okay, Tony, that comedian, he's an insult comic, so he makes a joke, and they're up in arms about that. The left is losing their minds because of his Puerto Rico joke. 2 points on that. Number one, Puerto Rico now went red. And Trump skyrocketed with the Puerto Rican and the Hispanic vote. Point two would be the left was so upset about that, right? But then they can call us and Trump Nazis. What did Biden call us? He said we were
garbage.
Garbage. So, or the deplorables, like Hillary said. Isn't that interesting? So a comic makes a joke, they're insulted, but they are serious when they call us Nazi, garbage, deplorable. Totally fine.
Right.
Double standard, like you said, double-mindedness. It's like, man, once you realize it for what it is. But to your point also, you have Rudy Giuliani, Jewish, I believe. You have Vivek. He is Indian
descent. Yeah.
They have Tulsi Gabbard. She is Samoan and I think Indian. We have Elon Musk, who is literally an African American. Go figure. It's like
You have
They had
RFK, who's a
Alina
Kennedy.
who's obviously a woman. I mean, it's
Right.
like you have they're just. It's like someone spitting in your face. It's like, oh no, what's the old adage? Like, don't piss on my face and tell me it's raining. Like, they're like literally just spitting in your face, and you're like, hey, why'd you spit in your face? They're like, oh, I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, you did. Like,
Right.
don't try to pull wool over eyes. Like,
Yep.
you're not. There's no sincerity at all. The reason Kamala Harris lost is because there is not a sincere bone in that woman's body.
No, it's all
She
fake.
is a puppet. She was phony. She's a liar. She changes her tune. She changed how many positions? That's why Trump in the debate said he wanted to send her a MAGA hat, because she changed her view on fracking. She changed her view on the Second Amendment. It was, and then in one of her ads, she literally showed Trump's border wall and saying how he needed to secure the border. Like, give me a break. Like, it's just so tiring.
The thing is too with them now they're turning against each other. See, now Pelosi's blaming Biden because Biden endorsed her like the minute he said he wasn't going to run again.
He knew what he was doing.
We should have had a primary. He did. He looked really giddy the other day in his, little speech. He was giddy. Yeah, it's like he wanted.
And that was one of the best speeches he's given. It was just very smooth. It's like,
that's because it only lasted 5 minutes. He could go get some ice cream and take a nap after. Anyway, that's what they do though. They'll turn on each other. See, they're in disarray now, so they'll turn on each other. But I think some of the stuff and this is funny to a point, what I'm going to show you guys next, but it's also deeply disturbing that there's people out there like this that are reacting like this. Dan was telling me, and I didn't know this, like the suicide rate like skyrocketed in the last.
So there was a stat that came out this week. A stat that came out within a day or two after the election. There was over 2,800 reported suicides.
It's insane.
And we can say, well, maybe some applied to the election, some didn't. But I personally on Facebook, I saw numerous postings of suicide awareness and suicide numbers for reaching out, suicide prevention, pertaining to the election results. So, which is an absolute. It's terrible and it's tragic, and the mainstream media is to blame for that in so many ways because of the propaganda that we've just listed, where they think they're telling people literally Hitler is getting elected, and if these people believes that, of course they're committing suicide, and that's ridiculous. That's horrible. Whether we can sit here and we make jokes or whatever, but at the end of the day, when someone has a different political view than we do, even if they're acting like some of these people you're going to show, we on the right, and as Christians especially, do not hate them. Well, actually, we have compassion, and we don't want that for anybody. We don't.
Here's the thing.
I hope and pray those people don't feel this way anymore.
Right. Well, you look back to 2020. I was mad, but I wasn't making a TikTok, a rehearsed TikTok,
or threatening your whole
or
family,
threatening my family, or doing some of the stuff. So let's watch this for a couple of minutes and see what these Looney Tunes are saying.
We're all still riding high, and we're already making America great
Mark
again.
Dice, by the way.
Unfortunately, the feminists aren't doing so well, and they have provided us with an endless stream of not just meltdowns, but insights into their thought processes. So we're going to take a quick look at just a small sample of, again, the endless supply, not just to mock at them, not just to watch them cry over Kamala losing, but to see what it is that their solutions are to this new situation they find themselves in. But first, just a heads up, the Liberal Tears mug is back in stock in my online store at markdice.com. And so is Trump Cloth.
Go for it a little bit here.
Time. The first thing I did was have a good long cry. The second thing I did was get on the phone and make a doctor's appointment for a surgical consultation to get my tubes tied. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a really long time, and I feel like now is the appropriate time to do it before my option to choose that for myself and for my body is stripped away from me.
Nobody's going to ban tying your tubes, lady. And if you get knocked up from Tyrone from a drunken night out at the bar and you want to get an abortion, even if that's not legal in your state, you just drive a few miles to your neighbor's state and get one.
Exactly what we just said.
Guys, how do you feel about the lot of us, blue voters, filing, I don't know if it would be a civil suit or a class action suit against Donald Trump and his minions for the stress and the anxiety and the effects on our mental
That's
health
not
and
how it
physical
works.
health and well-being, along with the suffering
Translation,
of
I'm
our
suing you because you hurt my
relationships
feelings.
that
That's
Donald
not how
Trump
it
has
works.
caused us. I don't
See,
know.
that's
Is
what
it
people
civil
don't
suit,
understand is
class
like how
action
the real
suit?
world.
Now,
I think it would be
okay,
appropriate.
hold
Who's
on a
in?
sec
I'm
here.
in. Sign me up. Let's go.
Now listen to this drivel. Seriously? You're going to fire a class action lawsuit because you got your feelings hurt?
That's literally what it is, but that's just
That's
not how it
madness.
works. Like
That's
I
not
don't
how it
know
works.
why a lot of these people apparently seemingly are so detached from reality. It's
Completely
who's been coddling and enabling them to think and behave this way.
The
These are
Democrats.
adults. So this is a serious question. Where have their parents been? What have their parents been telling them? Because the real world will eat any of us if we're believing this kind of thing.
Right.
And
It's just psychotic.
I have to believe none of these people have had true hardship and suffering in their life because there's no perspective, right?
No.
There's just none, and that's tragic.
It's crazy. Let's watch a few more.
Looking to skyrocket your YouTube channel? Let Sprizzy boost you to the top. Using YouTube ads, Sprizzy targets viewers who are most likely to enjoy.
Can someone tell me what MAGA men find attractive so that I can wear the complete opposite? Thanks.
Okay, well, you're welcome. Just don't change a thing. The most miraculous thing about this election is that it jolted millions of feminists across the country into finally understanding that they shouldn't enter into relationships, let alone have sex or get married with someone who they don't share the same values with. This carbon-based life form I will present without comment, because if you can't say anything nice, you're not supposed to say anything at all. So I'll just let you watch and judge for yourself.
Well, it's been rough. It was not what I was expecting at all, considering some of the rhetoric he has said. I thought we as a nation were smarter, but I guess not.
Okay, so I just want to point something out what this person said. The rhetoric.
Yes.
The irony is they're the ones believing the real rhetoric. Hence why somebody or somebodies enabled this individual, who I assume is trans, to get to that point in their life where they're taking, or some sort of whatever they take. What is that? I forget what the procedure is. Hormones or whatever it may be, or potentially an actual surgery. How many people have enabled this individual to convince them that they needed to do that to the point where they did?
Obviously
do
a
that?
lot. Obviously a lot.
See, that's the rhetoric. See, that's where how sly the devil is. He's telling this person, oh, well, this is the rhetoric. He's just telling them that the rhetoric's over there when the rhetoric's actually over there. But this poor individual has believed this, and the people around this individual have piled on to build up those lies even more. And this person, God bless them, doesn't have a person in their life that is willing to tell them the truth.
Well, let's
They're
watch
willing
the
to push them off the cliff in the sense of compassion.
Yeah.
They're literally pushing them off a metaphorical cliff into something that they're probably going to regret with hormones or surgeries, et cetera, to fulfill a false fake idea of changing their gender, which you cannot do.
You're going to see in a second where this person lies as far as most things go. So watch this.
To my transgender and friends and, the people who it affects, as long as you stay alive, they cannot say we don't exist. Being a Satanist means rebelling against them because they're wrong.
And that's what
as
it's
long
about.
as you draw a breath, every breath you take is a rebellion. Keep on fighting.
Everything they're doing is a rebellion against God.
You just have to. Hail Satan, hail reason always.
Obviously, Satan isn't really helping with your situation. I would just politely recommend that you go with the other guy. Go with Jesus. This woman's white guilt has gotten so bad that she has now denounced her fellow white women, since so many of them voted for her.
So here's a problem that I have dealing with my
This one might be the
sons.
sickest of all.
They get very, very offended if I say that I think that they are ignorant to some things.
They're not offended. They're just tired of their brain dead mother continuing to watch and believe the clowns on CNN and MSNBC.
Because of their support for this rapist and felon.
What is a rapist?
I keep forgetting that he's a convicted felon because it doesn't matter.
Felon.
But here's the thing. I have two choices
with her
when I try to understand why they would support an abhorrent human that goes against every value I try to instill in them.
Which is what?
Here's my two choices. I can believe that you are ignorant, or I can believe that you are evil.
Oh, not that they just don't want the country flooded by illegal aliens.
She thinks her children
they don't want their
evil because that's enough of that anyway. She thinks that her children are evil because they're Trump supporters.
These are her children that she gave birth to. Which
she essentially is putting her political views above her kids.
Above her children. And that is what you see. That is a great point you just brought up. Dehumanization. Here's the irony.
Yeah,
most of these people, most of them, do nothing but cry and moan and groan about they want equality in this, they want equality in that. They want to be accepted for who they are. They want to be loved like everyone else. They want equality, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But they're never willing to give that same
it's all take.
To anybody else.
Yep.
So they want us to bow down to them, and respect them, but they never have to give it back. Well, and again, I don't want to say all. I don't want to do a Hillary basket of deplorables thing. Right. The individuals of this mindset that we just saw, they are hypocrites and they're narcissists because they demand everything of society, but they're not willing to give those same things back to society.
It's the whole "it's my way or the highway" kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, think of it this way. So, like when the Bible says that all fall short of the glory of God, right? So we're all sinners, in other words. They are of the mindset that all fall short of their glory. If we do not step in line every way with everything they say and demand, then we fall short of their glory. They're above us, we're below them, and they condemn us, and they say, get out of my life even if you're my child.
Now you know why I said
operating in different kingdoms.
The worst thing going on right now is the religion of self, and that is exactly what they have. They have the religion of self. You need to. It's all about me. It's you're taking away my rights. No, first of all, you need to believe what I believe. There is no, back when we were kids, obviously politics were still a thing, but there was a little more. If I remember right, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There was a little more working together. It always
a lot more.
This division wasn't always set up this way. And they want to blame Trump for the division, but honestly, they had to look in the mirror. They're the ones that created the division. They're the ones that have just gone total ape shit and gone off the wall and freaked out because for one reason, they don't like to be told what to do. And that's exactly
what
even
Trump questioned.
Or even questioned.
A simple question.
Trump is not your typical politician who's going to sit there and say, okay, well, I'll do what you want and blah, blah, blah. And this Trump's going to call you. I said this to Dan over the weekend. It's like, this is like when you get in trouble and your dad comes home and he's been gone for a while and your ass is in big trouble and you got that belt coming at you. That's exactly what this is. Daddy's home, daddy's back, and daddy's going to whip your ass. That's what it essentially is.
Figuratively.
Yes. Right.
Well, it boils down to just simply the concept of someone's not getting their way. That's all it is. Right. Trump is not going to hurt these people. He's not going to do anything to these people. He's not going to round them up. He's not going to tell them they can't be this or that. It's just a narrative that was pushed by the mainstream media, and unfortunately, these poor people bought in. But the easiest fruit to partake in my opinion, is the fruit of self. People,
definitely.
A lot of people love to be seen or felt as a victim because then you lose what? You lose personal responsibility, but then you gain sympathy from everybody. You gain attention.
Right.
The opposite of that would be wanting to be humble and saying, because we're obviously pointing out faults of these people. Well, as Christians, we still have tons of faults ourselves. We've said this before. I have a list of my own. You have a list. We all do. But we're willing to share that list. We're willing to say, my gosh, I shouldn't have said that to this person. I should not have been cursed, and I shouldn't have driven that way. I shouldn't have been doing this, doing that. And that's where freedom is, in being humble. Freedom is not getting on TikTok and crying and demanding your way and disowning everyone who voted the opposite way that you did. That's not freedom. That's slavery. That's slavery itself.
All you do is turn into a clown for Mike Dice to put on
They're
his
going to end up
videos.
alone and bitter, and they're going to wonder why. The world is not. The world's against itself. Like, we all have hardship. We all have suffering. We all have disappointments, things we don't like. The other thing that I think you could dump into this is the idea and concept of identity politics. Mm-hmm. When everything is about, gender, or race, or what the left does too is they will paint people. They'll like you as long as you're doing what they say. Like, you're gay, Bob. Well, we're pro LGBT. As long as Bob falls in line, but as soon as Bob says, you know what, I kind of like Trump, they don't care that he's gay anymore. They kick him to the curb. Look up Brandon Strock. Yeah. That guy has been through literal hell. The creator of the Walk Away campaign. Google Walk Away. Read his story. You'll see. He's still on house arrest. He was a far left Democrat and literally cried when Trump got elected in 2016. And then he had a friend send him a video of Trump debunking some of the myths about Trump. And so he went the other way. They have come after that guy full bore and tried to ruin his life ever since then. He's still gay, but suddenly that went away. It's all identity politics. They do the same thing with a lot of black people. They say, well, you're not actually black if you're voting conservative or this or that. They do the same thing now with women using abortion. They lie to these people and they manipulate them. And they're using these things against them. Oh, well, you are a woman, you'll lose your rights. Oh, you're black, this and that. Oh, you're gay, this and that. They're using those things, those attributes of a person, and they're putting their whole identity into those attributes, whether it's their race or their orientation. That's how they see people, as a color or a gender or a sexual orientation. They don't see human beings.
Does it sound familiar? Because that's exactly what the devil does.
Exactly right.
It does exactly what the devil does.
It's the same trick, because he has no new trick.
So when I said, and I caught some flack for this, but I don't care. When I say the election was about good and evil, it was. It was completely about good and evil, because you have people that are agents of Satan pushing his agenda, because ultimately all these agendas are not a liberal agenda. They're Satan's agenda. They are set up because, so the religion itself is totally Satan's thing. Right?
Castrating 14,000 children is
abortion,
the agenda of the devil. Yeah.
Overtaking with illegal people who want to come in and, all this stuff is
homelessness, people being poor, people can't afford things. That's all. It's all there.
It's all there. It's all Satan's agenda.
Well, and don't forget, in line with that, in 2 Timothy, it says, in the end times, people will be lovers of themselves. Good will be called evil. Evil will be called good. That is a perfect example of what all we're talking about. Like when they twist words, like say, "Oh, is it evil to break the law and come into the country illegally?" Yes, but they say it's good. They say that castrating children is good and compassionate. That's completely evil.
Yep.
It's like.
So let's spend the next few minutes talking about the positives of this, because there's obviously a ton of positives. I know that Trump's already said he's going to do a lot of different stuff. We talked about that. What do you think is the most important thing that Trump can do?
So I don't want to have a cop-out answer, because I could say there's a couple things that are a tie.
There is.
But there's a direct correlation. So without national security, i.e. the border being closed, that can affect the whole slew of things. Mm-hmm. It can obviously affect the economy, can affect crime, it can affect jobs. Everything goes hand in hand. But I think that, man, there's so many things, because you could say if he gets rid of the Department of Education, that no longer the woke teachings in school, so it's not affecting our children. Hopefully there won't be 14,000 more kids castrated. You know, that, but then you can say economically, with Elon Musk especially coming in, you know, we cut the fat from the federal government, we cut the red tape, we cut taxes for the wealthy, but remember, the wealthy are usually the business owners, so it trickles down into the middle class. And so there's tax cuts across the board like Trump did the first time. But then there's cutting the red tape, i.e. Government intervention. Say, as an example, I don't know if he'll do this, but with the auto industry, with the combustible engine, all the red tape that's there now, hence why you have companies doing EV vehicles, even though we are clearly not ready for all EV. But you know, you get rid of the red tape, you cut taxes, you're reducing inflation, because inflation, no matter how much they say it's gone down, go buy some groceries, then tell me. But opening up jobs, because if people don't have a job, they don't have really anything, right? So I think that the national security measures and the economic measures, and then what our children are being taught and how they're treated within schools is huge. But they all really do go hand in hand, honestly.
So all good things, but I'm gonna go with this one.
I may have missed one.
Partnering with my
Free
very
speech?
good friend Lee Greenwood, who doesn't love his song
Oh,
"God
I think
Bless
this
the
is the most
USA"
important one.
in connection with promoting the "God Bless the USA" Bible. This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our founding father documents. Yes, the Constitution, which I'm fighting for every single day, very hard to keep Americans protected. Also, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance are all part of this God Bless the USA Bible. And it's just very important, and very important to me. I want to have a lot of people have it. You have to have it for your heart, for your soul. Many of you have never read them and don't know the liberties and rights you have as Americans and how you are being threatened to lose those rights. It's happening all the time. It's a very sad thing that's going on in our country, but we're going to get it turned around. Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country. And I truly believe that we need to bring them back, and we have to bring them back fast. I think it's one of the biggest problems we have. That's why our country is going haywire. We've lost religion in our country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book. This Bible is a reminder that the biggest thing we have to bring back America and to make America great again is our religion. Religion is so important. It's so missing, but it's going to come back, and it's going to come back strong, just like our country is going to come back strong. In the end, we do not answer to bureaucrats in Washington. We answer to God in heaven. Christians are under siege. We must protect content that is pro-God. We love God, and we have to protect anything that is pro-God. We must defend God in the public square and not allow the media or the left-wing groups to silence, censor, or discriminate against us. We have to bring Christianity back into our lives and back into what will be again a great nation. Our founding fathers did a tremendous thing when they built America on Judeo-Christian values. Now that foundation is under attack, perhaps as never before. What can we do? Stand up, speak out, and pray that God will bless America again. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again. Pray, get educated, get motivated, and stand with me and the legions of Americans asking God to bless our great nation, to bring our great nation back, and to make America great again. I'm proud to partner with Lee in this offering. He's a very special man, both as a talent.
So honestly, I think that's the most important thing he can do.
Well, that's the best answer. Yeah, I had heard about that Bible, but I didn't actually.
Yeah,
video.
I saw that the other day, because what's happened is, you know, every politician will say "God bless America." That's just something they say. That doesn't mean they actually mean
Harris
it.
has said it a bunch of times.
You know,
even
well,
after she
and she told those guys that they were at the wrong rally. They
Right.
they moved along to the right rally, and
Right.
people wonder why things like this happen to people who mock God or, do things like that. This is why.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
why things like this happen. This is why she's $20 million in debt from her campaign. You mock God, game over.
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
No, doesn't end well. So, I mean, all those things you pointed out are great, and I agree with all of them. And I think, I think he learned a lot from his last time around. We had that idiot Pence around who was useless, and he had a lot of, his lawyer was useless, and there was a lot of people that didn't fit where it's at. But I think he's really got, you know, a good group of people started out to where it's gonna work out. Let's be clear on one thing too, and this is another thing that us conservative Christians get accused of. By no means do we think that Donald Trump is the Messiah. By no means do we think he's the savior of the world or anything. For the time being, he will save this country, because if Kamala got in, she can't even budget her own damn campaign. What makes you think she could budget the US economy? No chance. We would have been done. And I said that for a long time. I went to a conference where that was the main thing, saying if they get in, if Klaus Schwab gets his way and Biden and Harris are running things, yeah, y'all better start praying, because USA is going down. So, I would say get over yourself. He's president whether you like it or not. So you better get over yourself. You better deal with it. You're gonna be happy when you're getting tax breaks. I remember last time there was tax breaks coming my way. Nobody was complaining then when they got a check for $22,000 in the mail. Nobody was bitching then. So it's
no, and they'll try to say, well, that was because of Joe.
Yeah, right, sure, yeah. So
well, and that's just it, though. It's just like, yeah. Well, they automatically, people accuse other people that voted for Trump. They'll accuse them of, oh, well, it's racism, it's misogyny, it's you're a Nazi. It's like, no, actually, not that I owe them an explanation, but let me actually explain to you why I voted for him, because I can explain that all day long. Unlike these people that voted for Harris, that a lot of them can't even say why, other than she was a woman,
it's the
she
never
was
Trumpers.
a minority, and they hated Trump. Those are the three
Right, they
reasons
hated
people
Trump,
voted for Harris, because there was no policy. There wasn't.
None.
And when she was on The View, they asked her, said, would you, if you were president, would you change anything from the last 4 years from Biden's administration?
No.
I can't think of anything. I mean, come on, but here some of the reasons I
at
voted
least
for Trump.
lie. At least lie. At least
make something
make
up.
something up.
You do it any other time.
Right.
But some of the reasons I voted for Trump, because he actually has a track record of a 1.9% rate of inflation. The video he just showed would actually be the top reason, because he's defended Christianity and Israel, the Jewish people, relentlessly.
Yes.
That's huge.
Netanyahu was one of the first people to call him and congratulate him.
Netanyahu. Yep. And then, so economically, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to lower the inflation. He knows how to cut red tape and take a lot of the weight and red tape off of businesses. He's going to get rid of the EV mandate, which I don't want to be forced to drive an electric car just because it's stupid. And we
once
don't have
again,
the
that is a total BS thing.
It's just absurd. The job growth will be substantial, like it was in his first term.
Yeah.
We will have jobs. We will have cut taxes, like you said. He will hopefully secure the border. He will let the police do their jobs. He's going to tighten things down on the sanctuary cities. Again, I'm an hour away from the city of Aurora, where the Venezuelan gang took over that apartment building. He is going to hopefully stop these wars. He is going to hopefully appoint RFK to make America healthy again, i.e. cutting the red tape and all this nonsense going on with the FDA. And he'll make certain ingredients illegal that's in our food, such as seed oils and corn syrup and maltodextrin, things like that. He's going to have Elon Musk and Vivek cut a bunch of red tape and then cut the fat within the federal government. Elon Musk already said he's thinking about $2 trillion a year they can cut. I mean, I can go on all night with the reasons I voted for the man.
Exactly.
I also think he's kind of funny. So, but it's just, there's so many reasons to vote for him that we have listened to, we've researched. He has a track record. You could go on and on.
Yeah, it was more than
He's
the
pro
2 or
Second
3
Amendment.
reasons. Yeah, it was more than the 2 or 3 reasons that she outlined for the other ones. And
Yeah.
and I think another thing we need
one
to
more thing. He wants to do concealed carry where it is a national concealed carry. So if you have your concealed carry, that works for Colorado, Oklahoma, California, New York. You can go anywhere with it. Talk about a huge Second Amendment win. That's insane.
You want to take this one or should I?
No, that's fine. So, who did he rape? When was he convicted of that? Who convicted him? When was the trial?
See, this is what we're talking about.
See,
Believing
that I've heard that one a lot.
everything you hear.
Yeah,
That's not
who did he rape?
right.
When was the trial? When was he
Right.
convicted of it? What was his sentence? What year
Yeah.
did that happen? If maybe we're wrong, please fill us in. We're going to be waiting a while because that did not happen. There were false accusations against him of it just when he was running for president, ironically enough.
Yeah. Stop listening to the mainstream media.
Yeah, the mainstream media is just lying.
The very first thing everyone needs to do, turn off CNN, turn off MSNBC, even turn off Fox.
Joe Scarborough didn't even know how much butter was in the grocery store until, 3 days ago? We're not going to listen to that guy on MSNBC.
Right.
See, it's just more propaganda.
It's total propaganda.
Oh, he's a rapist. Well, do you have proof of that?
And no, we're not kidding. We're not kidding. No, we are not kidding.
Well, that again. So no, we don't need to deflect. We ask the questions. See, that's classic tactic of deflection. When was he convicted of rape, and who did he rape, and what year was it? When was the trial? Where was the trial? Was it in New York? When did that happen? When was that proven that he's a rapist?
Facts prove your point.
Yeah, it's not just
not repeating what you heard on NBC. That does not prove a point. Because
all
somebody
of those
said
allegations were
something
debunked.
Doesn't prove a point. You have to have facts to prove a point when it comes to, if you're going to make an accusation like that, you have to have proof. You have to have names, dates, when he was convicted, where's he at? Well, has he served any time? Blah, blah, blah. All those things. I can't accuse Dan of stealing my dog when my dog's standing right here next to me.
No, you stole my
It doesn't work that way. It don't work that way. And that's what people need to understand, is that you can't just say something because you heard it on the news, or you can't just say something that's obvious propaganda that doesn't make sense. It's if we said, okay, Ted Bundy killed this person in 1980. Well, yeah, there's documentation of that. We saw the trial.
He was convicted
He was
by
convicted.
a jury of his peers.
He was executed. We have proof of that.
Mm-hmm.
See, but when we don't have proof of things,
it's not just guilty because we want him to be guilty. The guilt is something that has to be proven. It's innocent until proven guilty. Not guilty because I heard it secondhand or I don't like something.
Or I want it to be true.
Right. I want to be a millionaire, but I can't just say
I want to be CEO of Hasbro. Doesn't mean I am.
Right. And there has to be, things are facts. Emotions and hearing things secondhand essentially have almost no merit. Our emotions are temporary, and they're temporary for a reason. We're not supposed to make decisions based on those emotions or based on what we think we heard. The Bible's clear, do not rely on what you think you know. It also says talking about gossip. It also says to not falsely accuse your neighbor of something without proof. We can't just accuse people of these things for the reasons you just laid out. False accusation is an evil, wicked thing. What if someone goes to jail because I lie? What if I lie and someone ends up going to jail? It's like, or someone gets hurt or killed. What if I say, oh yeah, this guy did this, and then so someone hears that and they go kill that guy when that guy didn't do anything to me? We can't just falsely accuse people of something on a whim. If we don't know it's true, we shouldn't say it. That's not right to do. I don't care if it's Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. The rule applies to everybody. Hillary Clinton should be treated as fairly as Donald Trump. Okay, an atheist should be treated as fairly as a Christian. A white person should be treated as fairly as a Black or Hispanic person. A tall person should be treated the same way as a short person. Okay, there's no asterisks. There's no, oh, but unless this.
Right.
That's not right.
Right.
And so we can't just throw out false accusations because we saw Joe Scarborough or Anderson Cooper or Sean Hannity say it. That's not how it works.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I'm tired. I think that's enough. So, all right, guys. Well, there you go. We're happy Trump's back in. If you're not, sorry. You'll get over it.
Well, it's just, this is just saying things that people may not like, but that they get the choice in that also. People can take it as a personal attack if they want. They can take it as Christian nationalism if they want, whatever that is. They can take it as however or whatever they want. You know, the idea of dialogue, this is why people love Joe Rogan. Let me make one last final point. The left says we need our own Joe Rogan. You had your own Joe Rogan. He was a liberal. He's not anymore. He is a guy that has the most open mind I've ever seen, who will talk to anybody. He said it repeatedly. Open dialogue with people without name calling, without attacks. He'll talk to anybody. That's the idea. And people don't like that. Mm-hmm. But that falls along the lines when you're trying to shut someone out or silence someone. That's right. What a tyrant is. That's not Donald Trump. So, anyway.
Give me 1 second here. I'm looking something up. I can't spell. Damn it.
Well, were you a part of that? Well, no, you've been out of public school for a while, so that wasn't it.
Okay, so you say here, May 12th, the Manhattan jury, 9 women. This is wrong, so you know. The verdict was split. Jurors rejected Carol's claim that she was raped. So that's wrong. Finding Trump responsible for a lesser degree of abuse. But that's not rape. You said rapist. So that's wrong. And no, that's not proof. Because the jury rejected Carol's claim that she was raped. Got it right here. So, sorry. All right. On that note, you guys have a good night. We'll see you next week. This is going to be it for the politics talk for a while, I think. Unless something else comes up, we might talk about other stuff later on. But we're going to probably get into like some nostalgia stuff like we were supposed to this week, and we didn't. But we'll probably talk about like how movies and TV and stuff like that are so much different now than they were from the 80s. So I think we talked about that a little bit. So
yeah,
that's probably what we'll do next week. We're going to let the politics thing go since it's all done, and we'll talk about that. The hell was that? So, all right. Well, you guys have a good one. We'll see you next week. Bye.